I want to talk about 25th anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall, which was last year. I lived in Berlin, well, that takes you to 1989, November 89. I lived in Berlin from 1980 to 97, and on the 9th of November, where this momentous event was announced, I probably cycled home along this dirt track. That's the Potsdamer Platz, and you can see the wall. I came then after the Potsdamer Platz, past the Hotel Esplanade, which was later integrated into the Sony headquarters for Europe. This wasteland is now full of European headquarters of various international companies. I don't really know which ones. Came to Hallisches Tor in Berlin-Kreuzberg, the Kreuzberg 61. Some of you might know the difference. I can explain later. On the way to my house, a typical Berlin tenement building where I had a flat in the backyard. So on the evening of the 9th of November, I prepared my tea while listening to the radio. And even the radio presenter sounded as if you wouldn't believe what he had to read out. It was announced that East German and East Berlin citizens were from now on free to travel. All travel restrictions would be lifted. This was announced by a guy nobody had ever heard of in the West, a man called Günter Schabowski, on the later famous press conference. Apparently he read this out in error. It was something that was discussed in an internal meeting, but he got his papers mixed up, read it out, and the thing happened. What led up to this event? 1989 saw thousands of East German refugees literally flooding West German embassies all over East Europe, causing humanitarian crises that had to be solved. Also, every Monday, tens of thousands of people went onto the streets here in the city of Leipzig. Every Monday, demonstrations with tens of thousands brought the East German government, sort of really made them insecure. This guy in the center, a man called Kurt Masur, he was conductor of the Leipzig Philharmonic Orchestra, was one of the organizers of these Monday demonstrations. It showed that ordinary people just lost their fear of this oppressive regime. The slogan they used, "We are the people, wir sind das Volk," now notorious, if you followed it in the news, really sadly hijacked this slogan, was so important that it was commemorated on one of the last stamps the GDR released. Here, Erich Honecker, kissing Gorbachev, no doubt with a suspicious mind. He had been disposed of in October '89. The East German leadership was basically in meltdown. The Berlin Wall was built in 1961. It surrounded the western part of Berlin. That's the three allied sectors of British, American, and French sector. Now, my memories of the Friday after the 9th of November, the 10th, I cycled along Straße des 17. Juni, shown here with this iconic Soviet war memorial, which was in West Berlin, and all I could see was Trabant cars. On the Saturday, I decided to take a closer look at the wall. On the way, there were queues of East Germans trying to get their welcome payment, Begrüßungsgeld, from the banks. There was so much pressure on the border crossings that impromptu ad hoc border crossings had to be built, literally ripping the wall apart and putting some tarmac down for roads. On my walk, I also saw, basically from day one, the so-called Mauerspechte, people taking hammer and chisel to the wall, taking chips out of it with pickaxes and whatever, and no doubt some of you might have a chip at home thinking it's from the Berlin Wall. The joke of the Ossi, the East German, and the banana was born in those days. People, sort of supermarkets, diverted their deliveries and gave bananas out to East Germans. And the joke then was that the naive East German, not being able to cope with West German sophisticated consumerism, would mistake a banana as a cucumber, or the other way around. The changes in the months after that were so dramatic, exemplified with this photo. I believe I took this in summer 1990. Obsolete Soviet military hardware was then good enough for backdrops in open-air theater performances by the wall. Yeah, that's it. Okay, thanks.
Joshua picked up around Jericho, and the walls come tumbling down. Then up to the walls of Jericho, he marched with spear in hand.